New York Governor Kathy Hochul is calling for restrictions on cell phone use in schools across the state. At least 8 states have enacted statewide bans or restrictions on phones in schools. Anyone with a child knows how challenging it is to separate a kid from their phone. But in tonight's Eye on America, CBS's Meg Oliver found out kids will survive.
Like most 8th graders, 14-year-old Ben Cohen-Vigdor has a cell phone. Unlike most, his is a flip phone.
Why did you want to try a flip phone?
I knew that something had to change because I was not getting my work done. I was very anxious. I was biting my nails a lot.
It all started last February when Ben lost his cell phone on the school bus.
I was without a phone for sort of 2 days, and I realized how my days were just so much longer and more full.
So much better, the lacrosse goalie made the radical choice to buy a flip phone.
I feel very proud of myself.
He used to average up to 5 hours of screen time a day. Now it's about 30 minutes. A CDC report says half of American teenagers spend 4 or more hours on screens. Teenagers with higher daily screen time are more likely to experience anxiety and depression.
It can be distracting.
So we asked 4 of Ben's friends, Carson, Renita, Jameson, and Maya, all 8th graders in New Jersey, to try flip phones for a week.
What is your average daily screen time on your phone?
10.5 hours.
10.5 hours? What are you doing on your phone for 10 hours a day?
Watching Gossip Girl on TV and TikTok.
They were curious but skeptical about the experiment. Jameson says he isn't doing as well as he wants to in school.
I think my phone's a big factor in that.
Although Renita plays 3 sports, she admits wasting time on her phone.
Then I'll realize 30 minutes or an hour has gone by.
Carson agreed to participate, but the avid basketball player was nervous.
As I got closer, I started having bad thoughts about it.
But Maya, who loves studying English and just started rowing, is hoping this trial helps her at night.
Hand over the phones. Let's see. It's going to be okay. Thanks, Jameson. Are you ready? Here's your new flip phone. Do you know how to text on there?
No.
No.
It's day 2. It was hard because I didn't have my phone.
Carson didn't make it. He asked for his phone back within 24 hours.
What have you been doing without your smartphone?
I just sat there and stared at my wall until I'd practice.
How do I add a new contact?
The others stuck it out, sending in mostly positive reviews.
I have been sleeping a lot better. I'm a lot less tired during the day.
I don't have my Apple Pay, which really doesn't help.
I finish homework so easily and faster.
Hi.
Hello there.
How are you?
7 days later, we reconvened.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
And Jameson, what was the positive for you?
Well, I talked to my parents a lot more, and I went out a lot more with my friends.
What did you learn from this?
I think that not your whole life should be on your screen. There should be things just off of that.
I think it helped them even in ways they don't realize.
In February, it will be a full year for Ben and his flip phone. His friends may not want to join him full time, but he believes it's never too late to make a change.
It doesn't have to be something as drastic as completely getting rid of all your social media. I still have an Instagram account that I will use on my computer, but it's more about doing small things that you can bring together to just fix that constant need.
A smart lesson learned without a smartphone. For Eye on America, Meg Oliver, Montclair, New Jersey.
One of the hottest debates raging in classrooms is whether students should have access to their cell phones while at school. 12 states are now banning or incentivizing a ban on phones in class. One of those states is Virginia, where Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin just signed an executive order set to take effect in the new year. In tonight's Eye on America, CBS's Meg Oliver examines how the pilot programs are working.
Good morning, everyone.
Each morning, these middle schoolers begin their day with a lesson in restraint.
I'm not worried about the notifications I'm getting and who's texting me or what's going on social media.
That must be a nice break.
Yeah, definitely.
Jasmine Anderson is an 8th grader at Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School in Richmond. They're piloting Yonder pouches to lock up cell phones and store them in a supervised backpack. Jasmine Armistead teaches 8th grade English.
When you first started this, you put the phone in the pouch and you gave it back to the student.
Yes.
How did that work?
It didn't. It didn't work. No, it didn't really work because they were always messing with the pouch.
Trying to open it.
Trying to break in it because, again, they're teenagers.
Principal Annette Dabney says removing phones from the hands of her 500 students is the only solution.
The engagement is up. SOL test scores are up, which is fantastic. Disruption to classes are down. Teachers are able to teach.
A recent study found that 95% of teens own a cell phone, and kids can receive up to 500 notifications a day, many during school hours. And more than half of students spend at least 43 minutes on their phone at school, roughly the same amount of time as a class period.
We were going to do something.
Virginia's Glenn Youngkin is the latest governor to issue an executive order. He's requiring districts to limit or ban cell phones by January 1st. Many are already piloting programs.
As a parent, did you ever text any of your kids when they were in high school, or did your wife?
I'm sure we did.
We're all guilty.
I'm sure we did. And I think this is part of meeting some of parents' concerns. I mean, the basic concern that a pickup time has changed or a doctor's appointment has changed, those are the kinds of, I think, very practical concerns that need to be put in place.
How many snaps do you typically get during the school day?
1 million.
Cell phones are going in the pouch.
At Huguenot High School across town, they're taking a different, less restrictive approach. Students turn their phones in during class, but can use them between periods and at lunch.
It feels much better because at least I can see my phone. And if I really need it, I could just go up and get it.
Last year, the school tried Yonder pouches, but ran into problems and switched to this plan with input from students.
It just feels almost refreshing being able to just not have a worry of friends texting you, just being able to focus on the teacher and what they're teaching.
Michael Massa is the principal here.
Why not take the phones away for the entire school day, give them a break to learn?
That is something that we have found really dysregulates our students.
Some people are going to look at this and say, you're too soft.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that?
I think that saying that you're soft or hard on something is not really helpful in education. What we are is we're mindful, and we lead with love in our school, and we want to make sure, first and foremost, that our students are prepared and equipped to learn.
A lesson and law everyone is learning to live with. For Eye on America, Meg Oliver, Richmond, Virginia.
As the school year gets underway, we're seeing a renewed focus on how kids get to school. Some of the more than 25 million children who rely on a bus are now hitching a cleaner, greener ride. The Environmental Protection Agency in several states are pushing to provide funding for electric buses, but proponents say the benefits far outweigh the heavy price tag. CBS News senior business and tech correspondent Jolene Kent has tonight's Eye on America.
The wheels on the bus sound very different this year in the Modesto City School District in Central California. Can't hear it? Neither can some of the parents, used to the roar of a diesel engine.
So you're listening for something else.
The little buzzing sound. You guys have everything then?
Elvira Seha, for one, welcomes the change. These electric buses are helping to put the brakes on her kids' respiratory issues, which she says were made worse by the diesel fumes.
How much has your quality of life changed now that you're using an EV school bus?
I'm not hearing complaints about headaches, less going to the doctor's appointments or prescribe them new inhalers because of the smell or the pollution of the buses.
The district transports about 5,000 students each day, and last year converted half its fleet from diesel to electric. Superintendent Sarah Noguchi.
It's investing in our community and our kids. The game changer is truly the health benefits.
What has been the environmental impact of switching half your buses to electric?
47,000 gallons of diesel we didn't purchase, which means that toxic fume is not going into the air.
The new buses are plugged in at solar charging stations between pickup and drop-off. but going electric is expensive.
Overall, one of these electric school buses costs about $350,000. That's $200,000 more than its diesel counterpart.
This bus symbolizes so much.
The Environmental Protection Agency forked over $5 billion nationally to help districts like Modesto add an electric fleet. Additional funding comes from state budgets. The district, though, is saving on gas money.
The fuel cost for last year, we saved 41%.
What are you doing with that money that you're not spending on diesel?
Putting it into the classroom. After-school programs, before-school programs, multi-tiered support systems.
More than 800 districts around the country have put over 4,500 electric buses on the road. But other districts would need additional federal funding to electrify the rest of the nation.
If that went away, could the states afford to do what we're doing? The answer is no.
But future funding is uncertain. Leah Stokes, who teaches environmental policy at UC Santa Barbara, says the next president will help decide whether programs like the one in Modesto can continue.
If Trump is elected, the fact is that we would lose this funding, right? Because they're not interested in electrifying our transportation system.
For now, parents like Elvira Ceja are embracing the change.
We always want our kids to be safe, and for the whole entire community, less pollution here in Modesto. That's great.
A promising road toward a cleaner, greener future. For Eye on America, Jolene Kent, Modesto, California.
Eye on America this week will focus on stories about education as students return to school. Tonight we're examining the troubling trend of cyber criminals gaining access to your child's personal information, like school records, medical and mental health histories, and even social security numbers. CBS's Usher Qureshi shows us the high cost of cybercrime inside the classroom.
On a Monday morning in January 2023, a pre-dawn attack.
When you walk into this room that morning and everything is dark, what goes through your head?
We know it was at a disaster level.
The head of IT for the Tucson Unified School District, Rabia Hamade, realized it was a cyber attack when nearly every printer suddenly spit out a ransom note.
Hello, if you are reading this, it means that your system were hit by a royal. As a result, your critical data was not only encrypted, but also copied.
From there, it will be published online, and anyone on the internet, from the dark web, and even your employees will be able to see your internal documentation. So basically, we've done this to you. We're going to help you fix it, but you're going to pay us.
So it's extortion.
Absolutely.
Stacey Gossick says she fears for her boy's future, not knowing who has their stolen personal information.
Your children's digital identities were compromised.
Their doctor's information, their bus stop information, if they walk to and from school, what bus stop they go to, their medical records, where we live, where we work, every bit of information about our lives, they have.
That's frightening.
It's terrifying.
CBS News, working with cyber investigation firm GuidePoint Security, found evidence that Tucson student and employee information has shown up on the dark web, where it could be sold for a price.
You're selling something to somebody on the black market. They're not good people looking for this information for nice reasons.
On the advice of law enforcement, the district refused to pay the ransom. It was offline for 2 weeks and spent close to $1 million rebuilding its computer systems.
Data shows school districts have reported more than 1,600 cyber attacks across the U.S. over a 6-year span. More than 300 involved ransomware. Those have steadily been on the rise since the pandemic, when more students got online.
We've seen students as young as first grade have their identity compromised and abused because of attacks against school systems.
Doug Levin directs the cybersecurity nonprofit K-12-6. He says a district the size of Tucson Unified could spend several $1 million to build adequate cyber defenses.
Most significant attacks are being launched from overseas, and that's really quite a significant ask of school systems to have to defend against.
Anyone know what the definition of cybersecurity is without looking at the screen?
Cyber educator Brian Pitchman says another layer of defense, teaching kids like these Illinois summer campers to guard their passwords and spot scams.
If we're going to give students email accounts, you have to pass a cybersecurity class, very similar to how most corporations do it. They have cybersecurity training every year, every quarter. And so if you train the people how to protect the network, you've mitigated a big chunk of that risk.
What should you do if you think your account has been hacked? I got it. So I think that might be it. Yes!
Schools needing to prepare kids for a new threat. This one in cyberspace. For Eye on America, I'm Usher Qureshi in Tucson, Arizona.
In the age of e-reading, technology has created a new set of challenges for the modern library. As CBS's Meg Oliver shows us in tonight's Eye on America, several libraries across the country are writing the book on innovation.
Take a guess where this is. Shop class? Guess again.
Love risotto.
The kitchen in a fancy 5-star restaurant.
Hand me sticking now.
Not quite. If you're in Columbia, South Carolina, you're in the Richland Public Library, a national leader in reimagining libraries' place in our communities, where card catalogs now hold gardening seeds.
So what's in here? This is our library of things, and you can check out just about anything. So what do you have? We've got a little bit of everything. We got a ukulele for the music lover, games and toys like a kite.
Executive Director Melanie Huggins has pioneered this extraordinary evolution.
We have always been in the business of making people's lives better. I think that is the history of public libraries across the globe.
That history dates back to 1895 and the founding of Columbia's first library branch. But an economic ebb and flow combined with advancements in technology led Huggins and her team to write a new chapter for a community in need.
We think of our spaces as places to learn, to share, to create, and we create quiet spaces and let the rest of the library just be vibrant and active.
Declaración Federal.
Here, job seekers can lean on career counselors, social workers help the homeless, and people suffering from food insecurity. Education is also a top priority.
I didn't know our libraries contribute to us getting our education. I just thought you come in here and get a book.
Now people like Latita Miller can take free online classes and earn a high school diploma. The 40-year-old single mom of 4 dropped out of high school after having her first baby at 14.
How rough was that?
It was very, very difficult because I had to grow up early, had to learn more responsibility at that age.
After years of struggling and working multiple jobs, she went back to high school through the library's program in 2022.
I wouldn't have never known about it if I had not came through here and found out about my high school diploma.
Developing innovative ways to stay relevant is now a national trend for American libraries. In Salt Lake City, the library has a sound booth where people can record their own albums. In Chicago, vending machines are stocked with free supplies from hygiene kits to Narcan.
There's nobody else doing this work.
Groundbreaking work, improving lives like Latita's. This spring, she proudly accepted her high school diploma.
You can accomplish so many things here.
And so will many others, thanks to rethinking a cultural institution to better seed their futures by giving them all the tools they need.
Squeeze in.
For Eye on America, I'm Meg Oliver in Columbia, South Carolina.
The average public school building in the U.S. is now nearly half a century old, which means a lot of communities are facing a lot of repairs. Congress passed a $1 trillion infrastructure package, but as CBS's Mark Strassman shows us in tonight's Eye on America, that hasn't meant instant or even timely relief for schools needing work.
So what do we got here?
Right here, look at the top. The ceiling tiles right here are falling down.
Baker Heights Elementary is falling apart.
This is a water fountain that is in use.
Timothy Scott's job, save the school day. Somehow patch whatever's broken.
Could you just fix this? Well, it could be fixed. It could be repaired, but we're pulling funding from the classroom.
Outside Baton Rouge, Baker, Louisiana is home to roughly 12,000 people. Money is tight. The population and tax base are shrinking. The infrastructure's crumbling. All 5 school buildings were built in the 1950s.
Typically, when you have declining enrollment, it's tough to do anything.
Superintendent J.T. Stroder met us at one of Baker's 2 shuttered schools.
Our school infrastructure is reflective of community infrastructure as a whole.
Yes, I think they are. You can drive around the community and you'll see how those kind of match. The way a student feels about their surroundings and their atmosphere affects how they perform on academically.
America's infrastructure grades are in, and the grades are bad. Overall, America's infrastructure, from roads and bridges to drinking water, get a grade of C-. And the needed investment to bring America's schools up to par, $870 billion.
So where are we going? Going down to the Wendy's.
Mayor Darnell Waits showed us Baker's challenges.
Everything that I do is infrastructure.
You know what the problems are. Why don't you just fix them?
It takes money. And there's a lot of other things that's going on at the same time. You want infrastructure, but you want to be safe. So 50% of my budget is public safety, and everything else goes toward infrastructure.
Where's that money going to come from?
Well, you build your revenue, but basically it comes from state government and federal funding.
In 2021, Congress allocated more than $1 trillion to rebuild America's infrastructure. Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy was instrumental in negotiating that deal.
If you're talking about communities that are in genuine need of significant infrastructure help, if these communities are complaining that the federal government has not stepped up, how would you respond?
During the COVID epidemic, billions were sent to state and local educational authorities. But oftentimes when the federal government puts up dollars, the state and local pull back, and the net sum remains constant.
To date, the infrastructure law has funded more than 40,000 projects across the country. But in many cases, the money reaches communities like Baker too slowly. In 2016, a flood closed the high school, and ever since, students have had classes in the middle school building.
I would say I do feel forgotten about. Kind of ashamed, say what school you go to.
I feel mostly left out at the opportunity to be something bigger.
The water-damaged high school will reopen this fall, 8 years later.
We don't have that experience, like a bigger environment for us to grow in and flourish in, but I'm hopeful for the future.
In many American communities, that's something else America has been slow to rebuild: hope. For Eye on America, Mark Strassman, Baker, Louisiana.